Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to read a post called "Disturbing Belief I See Tossed Around on Here Routinely Regarding Fairness in Sex." I just read a recent thread about a man who was interested in having a male-female-female threesome with his girlfriend, but was hesitant about having a male-male threesome in return, and he was feeling guilty about that. And some people even chimed in that it's not fair if him and his partner want to have a male-female-female, but not a male-male-female. I've also seen threads where a man is guilted for wanting to try anal with his girlfriend, but not being comfortable with having her peg him. Again, some people will guilt the original poster by saying it's not fair that he has anal sex with her, but won't agree to getting pegged. Now, let me say clearly, no one, man or woman, should ever be forced into an uncomfortable situation. We all have boundaries, and those boundaries should be respected. But if someone agrees to a sex act because they feel comfortable with it, their partner should not be guilted into a role reversal of the same sex act because it's fair. So, in my first example with the threesome, if the original poster's girlfriend is comfortable with having a male-female-female and is willing to have one, the original poster should not be guilted into having a male-male-female. It's not his fault his girlfriend was interested in adding an extra woman to the bedroom. If he's uncomfortable adding a man into the mix, he shouldn't be expected to even the score, so to speak. Because in that equation, his girlfriend got to have two sexual experiences she was comfortable with, whereas he had one experience he was comfortable with and one that he was uncomfortable with. Same with the anal example. If a woman is open to trying anal, then those two partners can explore anal. That doesn't mean the guy has to agree to get his ass pegged if he knows without a doubt that that's not something that he's interested in. It bothers me that there's adults that believe this, that sex is some quid pro quo transaction where anything you're willing to do means you have to be willing to have done to you, or else you're being unfair/hypocritical. But again, I want to make the distinction that I'm talking specifically about partners being comfortable with certain sex acts. Obviously, if a person is pushing their significant other to do something they're uncomfortable with, then it's hypocritical to not offer the same open-mindedness in return. But if I'm meeting a girl who's openly down to try a male-female-female, I'm not going to give her a male-male-female in return because I have no interest in that. I mean, am I wrong here? Do people out there actually believe that sex needs to be even? Okay, so there's a number of things that I want to talk about in this post. I'll take a short break and then we'll get into the analysis. The main thing that I want to talk about is the discussion about fairness and reciprocity in the bedroom. I think that there is room for a couple to discuss whether or not there's an equal exchange of comfort and discomfort with regarding to sexual acts, but it needs to be done in a very specific way. I'll save that discussion for the end though. We'll start by talking about some of the other points. I'll start by quickly answering the question that he poses at the end of the post when he says, are there people out there who genuinely believe that sex needs to be even? Well, obviously there are, because you made this post in response to people who believe in this idea. A more interesting question to ask is, how did people arrive at this belief? It's honestly not surprising to me that people out there do believe this, because this idea that in order for things to be equal, they need to be identical is playing itself out in all areas of society. This is really just an extension of the debate between equality of outcome and equality of opportunity. Ask yourself, which of these two scenarios sounds more fair? A system where we have mandatory quotas which guarantee diversity, or equality of opportunity where anybody can pursue a particular position but that it's ultimately filled based on merit? I believe in a merit-based system, equality of opportunity. I believe that jobs and positions should go to those who most deserve it. That's what's truly fair. However, it's this idea of fairness that is currently under attack by people that Jordan Peterson would describe as postmodernists. What you're seeing in this post is the idea of equality of outcome playing itself out in the bedroom. We had a threesome with two women, now it's only fair that we have a threesome with two men. I tried anal sex, now you need to try anal sex. What's particularly worrying about this post is that he mentions that men are feeling guilty about not getting pegged, about not having threesomes with other men. The fact that men are feeling guilty about this sort of thing should be a warning sign about just how far the doctrine of equality of outcome has gotten. It's now infiltrating our bedrooms. Now, he didn't provide a link to the original post, so we don't know if he's talking about his own internalized guilt or if his partner is actively guilting him. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably his own guilt, but for the purpose of discussion, let's just assume for a moment that his partner is the one making him feel guilty. If your girlfriend starts to keep score with regards to your sex life, then be extremely wary. That's a huge red flag, and you ignore it at your own peril. A healthy, functional relationship involves a lot of sexual generosity, doing nice things for your partner without necessarily expecting anything in return. If you share with your partner that it's your fantasy to try anal sex, and she agrees to try it with you, well, that's really nice and generous of her. If she turns around afterwards and then demands that you bend over and receive the same treatment so that it is equal and fair, well, that's a big concern. As a general rule, women who think this way need to be avoided at all costs. Now, it's not that people shouldn't be generous or reciprocal in their love life and in their sex life. Of course they should. It's that if she's demanding things of you, then she has a very rigid definition of what constitutes fair, and she doesn't trust you. If she doesn't trust you, then she'll try and control you. And if you never win her trust, then your life will be filled with fights and arguments. Or else, you may just give in and stop resisting, and at that point she'll lose all attraction to you, and you risk a very messy breakup or divorce. If she's extremely rigid and controlling, then she has serious trust issues, and you need to consider whether or not it's appropriate to continue with that relationship or not. If she's a great girl who shows signs of growth and improvement, then maybe stick with it. Help her evolve and demonstrate your trustworthiness. If you're successful and she's able to grow through her trust issues, then you'll find yourself with a kind, loving, and ultimately loyal partner. But if she doesn't have many positive characteristics and shows no real sign of growth or improvement, then you're best to just move on. If she's more interested in controlling you than working on her own trust issues, then there really isn't anything that you can do. Just wish her the best, part ways, and then move on and find a partner who is capable of trusting you. Okay, let's shift focus and start talking about those examples mentioned in the original post about getting pegged and having a threesome with two men. I'm going to talk about the idea of being comfortable in your sexual experiences a bit later on. Let's start by discussing the differences in those acts for men and women. I'm going to say something now that's extremely not PC, but should be common sense to anybody looking at the situation rationally. Straight women are more bisexual than straight men. What I mean by this is that if you take an average straight woman, she's going to be a lot more inclined to have a sexual experience with another woman than an average straight man would be having a sexual experience with another man. I've asked this question to a lot of women, so this isn't just a theory. I'm relaying what they've told me. Even if she's not bisexual, most women wouldn't consider having a sexual experience with another woman that big a deal. I've even had straight women tell me that they think that the female body is more beautiful than the male body. Maybe this is because our culture glorifies the female form in art and media. Maybe it's because of our polygamous history and the women are used to sharing men and being intimate with other women. Whatever it is, the same deal does not apply to men. For the average straight man, being intimate with another guy isn't some neutral experience. The idea of having sex with another man is repulsive. Now, of course, if you're a bisexual man and you're dating a bisexual woman, then you'll be thrilled to have any type of threesome. But for most couples who are interested in experimenting with interactive threesomes, where all people involved are sexual with all the people involved, I can imagine that most women are going to be a lot more comfortable with two females in a threesome than most men would be with two men in the threesome. Of course, there will always be exceptions, and this won't apply to everybody. I'm speaking in generalizations to get across the point. And like the original poster said, nobody should ever be forced into an uncomfortable sexual situation. There's also the issue of pre-selection to consider here. A lot of women might fantasize about seeing their male partner interact with another woman sexually, because it confirms in her mind that he's a high-status male. By watching another woman submit to him sexually, she reassures herself that she's attracted a high-value alpha male, that other women desire him. Most men are aware that if their partner is beautiful, that other men will want to sleep with her. They don't need to see the proof. There are a small minority of men who enjoy the cuckold fantasy, but statistically speaking, it's not a common sexual fantasy, and it has very specific psychological reasons behind it. Now, let's move on to the anal sex part of the post. Undoubtedly, there are some women out there who really enjoy anal sex. In the sexual imagination and fantasies of lots of men, all women love it. Unfortunately, that's really not the case. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but not every woman enjoys the physical stimulation of anal sex. Perhaps you know this from your personal life, or if you haven't got much dating experience, you can go onto YouTube and search up street interviews of women talking about anal sex. Now, like I said, there are some women out there who genuinely love anal sex. But more often than not, you'll find the women who do engage with it on a casual or semi-casual basis it's usually a favor that they're doing for their partner. What I'm saying is that if you're a guy who likes anal sex and you have a partner who also likes anal sex, don't assume that all other women are like that. Be grateful for what you've got. I only mention this because in any discussion about anal sex versus pegging, there will be some people out there who will try and make the claim that it's more natural for women to have something repeatedly shoved up their butt than it is for men. Though some people do love it, the majority of humans, regardless of gender, don't enjoy the sensation. This is true even for gay male couples. In a TV documentary that he was presenting, Stephen Fry gave details about how he and his partner don't engage in that kind of act at all. Their sex life is exclusively oral sex. And so we return to the question, if you enjoy anal sex with your girlfriend, is it only fair that you get pegged in return? As the original poster quite correctly stated, the most important question is whether or not the experience is comfortable or not. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk about why comfort is the correct measure of fairness and equality in a sexual relationship. Okay, so let's imagine a married couple. The husband likes to cook dinner, but hates doing the dishes. The wife hates to cook dinner, but enjoys cleaning up afterwards. Both people are comfortable in their roles. They are performing different tasks, but their contributions are equal. The distribution of labor is fair. This is obviously the ideal. Everybody does what they are comfortable with, and no one is pressured into doing something that they don't want to do. If a woman was genuinely comfortable with anal sex, but then afterwards demands that her partner get pegged in return, that's not equal or fair. That's actually mean. If he's uncomfortable with that act, to put pressure on him is cruel and seriously oversteps some boundaries. Naturally, the same is true in reverse. If your female partner is not comfortable with anal sex, then pressuring her and applying guilt is extremely inappropriate. Of course, there's nothing wrong with asking for something that you want, but if you reach a place where she gives you a clear no, you need to stop. This does get a little bit tricky because sexual exploration does involve moving outside of your comfort zone. Maybe to begin with, she's not comfortable with the idea of having a threesome with another woman, but with some gentle persuasion, she tries it out and ultimately discovers that she loves the experience and thanks you for helping her through her doubts and fears. Maybe you're completely weirded out with the idea of her playing with your butt, but you decide to try it and ultimately find that you like it. Good thing that she persisted, because even though you were frightened to begin with, you ultimately ended up grateful for the experience. Like was mentioned in the original post, if you're expecting your partner to do something that makes them uncomfortable, then it's really only fair that you do something uncomfortable as a gesture of generosity back to them. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. The point is that an act that she's comfortable with is not equal to an act that you're uncomfortable with, even if it's the same act. The other thing to consider is that often you may perform a sexual act not because you really want to, but just to make your partner happy. There really isn't any enjoyment for you outside of pleasing your partner. I think that often oral sex falls into this category. Now, some men do enjoy going down on women, and some women love giving blowjobs. More often though, it's sort of a favor that you do for your partner. You agree to do something nice for them because you want them to experience a pleasure that's entirely selfish. Now, if a man is receiving a blowjob, more often than not, he'll often finish by reciprocating and going down on a woman. However, if she continually interrupts what she's doing and says things like, "You better appreciate what I'm doing," or "You better go down on me after this," then that's going to take all of the enjoyment out of it. Ultimately, if she's the kind of woman who won't do something nice for you without expecting some big favor in return, that's a huge red flag. What you're witnessing there is a large sense of entitlement that will undoubtedly spill out into other areas of your relationship and start causing you problems. As a general rule, if she loves you and values you, she won't mind doing nice things for you. Obviously, there is a limit to what's reasonable, but it should make her happy to see you happy. If she never does you favors and she's constantly keeping score, then she doesn't value you, and you're better off moving on to someone else. That's all I have to say on this topic, and I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say on the concept of fairness and equality in the bedroom. Please let us know what you think in the comment section below. Also, be sure to hit that like button, and if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you've picked up your copy of Land of the Losers. This book's absolutely amazing. Check out the description box below where you can read my full review. If you're looking for other ways to support the channel, check out my Patreon page. There's a whole bunch of extras I post there every single day, and it would be amazing to get your support. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you again next time.